I think Ryan Clark got swept up in some level of culture war retribution. The reason he got fired during the segment is because an outlet called Outkick was contacting ESPN threatening to leak this information. How would Outkick get this information? Well, Outkick is owned by Fox News Corp and was established by a man named Clay Travis. And if you know Clay Travis, you know he is not a bleeding heart liberal. I feel like a lot of this was purposely done to embarrass Ryan Clark.
Embarrass Ryan Clark? You're blaming ESPN for embarrassing Ryan Clark? Have you seen Captain Doofus? Ryan Clark does not need ESPN to embarrass him. Crying Ryan does an excellent job embarrassing himself every time he cries more than a teenage girl. Ryan Clark did not get fired because of Outkick. Ryan Clark did not get fired because he was unqualified to analyze the NFL. Hell, if that was the case, Mina Kimes would have been fired years ago. Ryan Clark was fired because he was so blinded by mythical racism. He was so blinded by his desire to be accepted that he failed to realize the culture of ESPN was rapidly changing. Dave Roberts was an executive vice president at ESPN. Keyword, was. Recently, David Roberts retired after over 20 years with the network. The reason the retirement of David Roberts is important: he was one of the driving forces in the intersection of sports and politics at ESPN. Dave Roberts was one of the primary reasons ESPN transitioned from the worldwide leader in sports into the worldwide leader in woke. Recently, Dave Roberts was interviewed by something called Higher Learning, or as it's pronounced in the Somalian Republic of Minnesota, Higher Leering. During the interview, he talked about the importance of politicizing sports. It always drove me crazy that ESPN didn't want to mix politics and sports. Sports have always been political, and it is a serious problem when we have executives at our network who hide behind the "this is sports" mentality. To his credit, Dave Roberts isn't necessarily wrong. Throughout the decades, there have been instances where politics and sports have intersected. Muhammad Ali in the war in Vietnam, the Rooney Rule in the NFL, Colin Kaepernick trading in his helmet for a set of knee pads and kneeling for the national anthem. But for the most part, these have been individual instances. The problem for Ryan Clark, this became an obsession. Last night, I was debating back and forth with one of my longtime viewers. I appreciate his input because we don't always agree politically. He's left-leaning, but he's not a doofus Democrat, which means he's not a communist. He's not an Islamist. If that were the case, I would not take him seriously. He was trying to defend this popular narrative that race has always been a prevalent topic at ESPN. He sent me a couple of links where Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless are talking about racial issues on First Take 10, 15 years ago. Keyword, couple. My guess is that's all he could find. I could look through my personal archives where I have got thousands and thousands of clips that I've shared with you guys over the years, and I could provide dozens of examples of crying Ryan Clark obsessing over race. You see, Stephen A. Smith, he didn't build the foundation of his media career on mythical racism. Does he talk about it sometimes? Sure, but it's not what he is known for. It's not what Skip Bayless is known for. You can't say the same for crying Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark started with ESPN back in 2015, but he did not become a mainstream star until 2020 when he started obsessing over manufactured racism. When you think of Ryan Clark, you don't think NFL analyst. You think of the dude on TV who is constantly crying over fake racism. Case in point, when he accused Louisiana State Police of being involved in the death of Kieran Lacey. When I mentioned this point, when I was going back and forth with my viewer last night, he said, I didn't know about that. That changes everything. You can't accuse white cops or any cop of being involved in the death of a young black man without providing evidence, without being 100% sure that's what happened. I told him, when I covered this story last fall, I said it would be one of the reasons Ryan Clark loses his job at ESPN. But you see, defenders of Ryan Clark, they either don't know about that or they don't want to know. The truth, the facts. They refuse to allow those pesky things to get in the way of their agenda. All they see is a black man who was fired by his white bosses. If they would allow themselves to not be blinded by race, it's abundantly clear Ryan Clark, he deserved to get fired. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later on the main channel.